Let's take a moment to share a Diet Coke together. So, I've had a lot of men approaching me about the DFP, speaking about their lives, speaking about their problems. I have a gift of being able to talk to people, being able to connect. My gift and my curse has been people always tell me their deepest, darkest, most serious shit almost as soon as I meet them. And more often than not, I do have the advice or the answers. And most importantly, if someone's talking to you about something that's happened to them either recently or in the past, it's not about giving advice, it's not about telling them what to do. More often than not, people just need or want someone to listen to. This is why I make these videos. This is why I get my guys to make videos inside the DFP where they share what's going on in their life. They talk about their problems, they talk about their pain, because the reality is most people wouldn't really give a fuck otherwise. It's been a very challenging few years for everyone. Here's the thing. If you turned off the television, there probably wouldn't be too many problems in your world. And when I do talk to men about what's going on, sometimes it's the marriage, sometimes it's drinking, sometimes it's finances. It's one thing that if you truly commit to for 6 months, things would really turn around. I'd like to unpack my year with you if you give me that time. So the start of this year, what was the love of my life flew into the country. In some kind of crazy backwards world where people wearing hazmat suits like some kind of lethal virus was getting around. And then it was a month or so later that a mother figure of mine, who was like an auntie, died. Because of some medical procedure, that's the honest truth. Not long after that, I lost my grandmother. And then not long after that, the war in Ukraine kicked off, and my love was from Ukraine. Very stressful period. In fact, I stayed awake for about 4 days trying to find refuge, shelter, answers for her mother. Now, people think these things won't happen to them until they do. And I wouldn't wish or suggest anything that I've gone through on my worst enemy. Then through my own, behavior, my girl decided to leave me and go back to what she does, which is dance in men's strip clubs. Incredibly difficult thing for me to process and understand, but that's just what happened. My behavior at the time must have pushed her to see that doing that was better than being with me. Everyone's going to see that. But that's kind of irrelevant at this point. So dealing with those two deaths, dealing with that situation, I then find out that a tragic incident where a man, a drunken tourist, was killed in an accident where I was riding a motorcycle. I found out, although that I hadn't done anything wrong, I was now being sued by his son. Basically for everything that I had. On top of these unusually hard challenges, I was also running the Daily Freedom Path, helping men with their own problems, their own pain, and trying to get that place off life support, because due to COVID and cancelled retreats and losing tens of thousands of dollars from the flu, I now had all these added stresses. Through working on myself, truly just working on myself, looking at what I needed to correct within myself, my emotions, my past, my actions, my choices, what I wanted in life. I was able to not let the death of those two important female role models in my life affect me, as I wasn't able to be at their funerals. I wasn't able to see them off. My love came back to me because she realized what we had. But after about 16 to 20 court cases in a foreign country, I find myself at wit's end, very worn out, very broken. And again, every time I start to build a DFP, Daily Freedom Path, people take notice that I can help, that I do have good advice, that I am hardworking. I will give you the shirt off my back, which is probably a character flaw. The reason why I share all this with you is to give you your own perspective on your own year and your own problems and your own pain. I am not depressed right now. I am not lost. I'm not broken. Do I feel pain? Am I challenged right now? Absolutely. Because only in the last week, as you may have seen in my previous videos, that again, my behavior, because I take responsibility for things, pushed my love in a direction that was not in my life. Now, the way that she left can be questionable. But how long do you want to look at the past? How long do you want to hold on to the past? Focusing on the past that cannot be changed creates depression. And as I have the final and freeing court case next week, I cannot have too much more anxiety or stress about that, because focusing on a future that may or may not happen causes stress and anxiety. This is why you find television, social media, it's always looking back and looking forward, telling you about the problems of the past, telling you about what may happen in the future, to keep you in this state of anxiety and fear and depression. I mean, there's 1,000 reasons why you could be depressed. There's 1,000 reasons why you could be anxious. People are going to do the wrong thing by you. People are going to do the right thing by you. And I truly thank God for everyone who has stood by me, business, personally, and in every way, shape, and form. And I apologize to the people that I may have let down in one way or another. I receive hundreds of texts and emails and messages and requests every single day. My desk is piled up with a to-do list. I wouldn't know where to start. And this is what we do as men. This is what I found with the guys in the Daily Freedom Path. They may have a year that is the same or similar to this. God, I hope they don't. Instead of sitting down and spending the time to process and work out and heal from what is going on, putting themselves first at the inconvenience of others. The next year, the year after that, the next 10 years becomes chaos. Because whether it be from the breakup, the death, the stress, they start dropping the ball in one area or another, whether it be their fitness, whether it be their alcohol intake, whether it be their time thinking about what they want and who they are. And during times of stress, during times of adversity, we revert back to our standard programming. And our standard programming generally isn't the best. That's why to make something good or great happen in your life, you have to commit, you have to try, you have to give everything, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to rest, use your time efficiently, make sure you're surrounded with people supporting you. Otherwise, you go back to your standard programming, which is giving you about what you have now, similar or worse. So I don't share my year with you to complain and say, oh, it's so hard for me and it's been terrible. It truly has been one of the most challenging and testing years of my life, but adversity introduces a man to himself. And despite the mistakes, despite the letdowns, despite the frustration in myself and from other people, I love the man I am, I love the man I've become, and through my own teachings that I've had to implement in my own life this year, I know deep down in my heart that I must get this out to more men, because the teachings that I've had to seek out on top of my own, for death, for heartbreak, for betrayal, for beyond imaginable stress and fear. These teachers, these guides that I've found on the same platform that you're watching this on, have been a very lifeline to me, have been a gift, have been something that literally saved me. But there's one thing to just simply watch something and feel good from it. There's something completely different to watch something, to commit to it, and see it through. Which is what the Daily Freedom Path is, which is what I highly suggest if you're a man and you've been watching me year after year, video after video, and it's not hard to get in contact with me. There's an email, there's an application process, there's a free program. Ask a question below. One of the guys the hundreds of guys that I worked with, they'll answer it for you. But this is not a sales pitch for the program. This is not for me to vent about my year, although it has kind of been good to get that off my chest. It's that if you're a man and you're not okay, and you have family, you have business, you have people that rely on you, more importantly, you, the most important in your life, the person you should love the most, you, is not in a good way. How long can you stay there for? How long do you want to stay there for? Because there are ways out, but you need to want to open the door. You need to put your hand up and say, hey, fuck, I'm not alright. And this is why. But this is who I want to be. Because that's what I did over the last 10 years. That's what I did when I created the DFP. But just like any challenge, just like any adversity, just like any knockdown or knockout, you have to get up, you have to dust yourself off, you have to reassess, and you go again. You don't revert back to plan B, you don't revert back to standard programming, you don't go back to where you came from with your tail between your legs. You don't look for the easy way out. It's not your job as a man to be humble. It's your job as a man to be a king, to seek out the things that you want, to push yourself beyond your limits. It's God's job to humble you through tragedy or pain or mistakes or failure. And that is when you're ready to truly learn the lesson. So stop playing small, stop hiding away, stop complaining because you think that's the honorable thing to do. Or listen to half the things that I've been through this year, and yet I'm still sitting here talking to you because this is what I do, this is what I've done. And after realizing how important the spoken word is from someone who genuinely cares and someone who knows exactly about your problem, I'm almost grateful for this year because it's reignited a fire in me that has not been there for a long time, if you may have noticed. And this is simply just a daily task I promised myself and I promised you that I do, and now it's done. And look at what can come from something, doing it every single day. Not because you have to, not because you want to, because you said you would, based on what you want. Apart from more time, more money, happiness, I mean, we all want that. What is it that you truly want that requires sacrifice and work? And being humbled by life to the truth. So that's where the joy in life is. That's where the abundance you seek is. That's where the people, places, and things you want are. They're not in taking the easy way out. They're not in running away from your problems. They're not in making excuses and blaming other people. They're facing fear head on and going through it. Because on the other side of fear is everything you want. Not back the other way, because that's where you came. How did that work out for you? The answer is not very well. Then join my community, reach out to me, find what the DFP is about, and make next year the best year of your life. I will basically start next year with what I feel is nothing. Mentally, physically, financially, romantically. But I start with so much more than that. I start with experience. I start with being tested by the fiery furnace of adversity. What I've been through this year would break any fucking man. And I say that as modestly and as humbly as possible. But like I said, it's not for me to be humbled. God humbled me this year. And it was also there for me when I found myself at multiple rock bottoms. At multiple challenges I didn't think I could face on my own. God was there. I'm Dan Fitz, a street preacher. Hope your year was fantastic, amazing. If it wasn't, that's okay, neither was mine. Let's make next year better. Because as a man, your only mission here is to be better than you were yesterday for the benefit of society. There is no other meaning to it than that. No more joy, happiness, or abundance will come to you than committing to that single goal. So what is it that you're here to do? If you even know the answer, it's a good place to start. God bless, Godspeed. I'm Dan Fitz, the street preacher. And hopefully next time and next year when I wrap up my year, it's much more easier to speak about. As we say in the DFP, you can't have a rainbow without a little rain. You can't have a breakthrough without a breakdown.